the biggest, I would say the biggest set of changes to Mythic Plus ever. All at once. We have never seen so many powerful and impactful changes to Mythic Plus. Even more than the announcement to introduce seasonal affixes. This is even bigger than that. Because, well, we are about to find out what is Blizzard going to do to Mythic Plus. Let's start with the front page change, because of course it has to do with one affix being removed altogether, so of course it's a much bigger one, and that is Explosive. Explosive will be retired for Dragonflight Season 2 and now replaced by Volcanic. I find it pretty funny that Blizzard tried to change Explosive from a healer affix into a DPS affix. They went there in a circle trying to brainstorm ways to make DPS finally do a mechanic for once and not let the healer handle everything, and then they realized it's a lost cause. We can't get DPS to do a mechanic, so we might as well just remove Explosive altogether. Also, very important, Volcanic is coming back. It's very important because Volcanic is very simple. It's by far, I would say, the easiest of the affixes in Mythic Plus. So you will have back this change of very powerful push weeks where Volcanic will be quite the easy combo with many other affixes. For example, Volcanic and Spiteful, Volcanic and Bursting, Volcanic and Sanguine. Those will be some very easy weeks next season of Mythic Plus. We then have the changes to the new affixes, the newly introduced affixes, Incorporeal, Entangling and Afflicted. All of them are getting nerfed. First in line is Incorporeal. This one is a good and welcomed quality of life change. Now incorporeal beings are going to fade away when combat with non-incorporeal beings has ended. You know, these things last for 20 seconds and need to be interrupted if you don't want your damage to be reduced by 50%. So it was going to be very annoying if you're about to get rid of the last mob of the pack and then two incorporeals are going to spawn. You know, what you gonna do? Move forward to the next pack where in the back you have these two things about to reduce your damage by 50%? Or what you gonna do? Sit there for 15 seconds and wait for them to disappear? That would have been very annoying, so this change is very welcome to get them to disappear once combat ends. It's obviously much more impactful. These mobs are much more impactful than Spiteful. For Spiteful, it's not that big of a deal to have a couple of spooky ghosts chase you after you finish a pack. It can be somewhat annoying for the healer, stuck in combat, unable to drink for mana, but you know, that's about the worst thing that can happen for Spiteful. For this affix though, for Incorporeal, it would have been much more annoying to have them remain and stack you in combat for that long of a time. The second affix being nerfed is the one I continue to say there was no need to nerf this affix because it was fine already, which is Entangling. So, number one, Entangling's snare effect is reduced. Previously it was a 50% slow, now it's a 30% slow. Now also there is some quality of life, some visual clarity changes. Now it has a visual indicator around you to give you an idea of when the vine is going to snap. So for how far you have to walk, run, dash or whatever to break this vine. And lastly, also now has a distinct sound cue when applied to the players. This was perhaps the more annoying thing of Entangling in the PTR. It was basically invisible, it was basically silent and invisible, and you barely even noticed you were getting entangled until you actually tried to move and realized you were slowed. That's how poor it was in terms of clarity, so these are decent changes to make you more aware. That said, as I said, it was still going to be very easy for every spec in the game to break free of this effect anyways. Even if the slow now is being reduced, I don't think it changes much. You were going to blink when you were getting slowed by 50%, you are still going to blink when you're getting slowed by 30%, so you know, whatever to the change of Entangling, it's still gonna be a very easy affix you will want for your push weeks. The last of the changes is the more important one, but also the more disappointing one for the moment, because it's the change to Afflicted. Afflicted, for the record, are the friendly souls spawning with 3 debuffs on them, a curse, a disease, and a poison on them, and they have 1 HP. The only way for you to stop them to finish their cast and give you a 100% haste debuff on you is to either heal them to full or dispel one of the 3 debuffs they have on them. The change to Afflicted is that now Afflicted Soul's health no longer scales after Keystone level 20. So in Season 1 that equals to 140,000 HP. That would be the amount of health you need to heal for the soul to disappear. So that is good because, of course, as you went higher in key level, the HP would become much higher and be made much harder for the healer to heal them to full. However, the biggest problem of Afflicted is currently not being addressed, which is the fact that Afflicted scales in spawn number with the amount of mobs you are in combat with. If you're pulling, let's say, 10 mobs, you can have as high as 6 or 7 of these souls spawning at the same time. That is going to be very difficult for you to manage them all and to heal them all as a healer, especially for the packs, which will require the healer to heal the party a lot, and then you also have to deal with all of these souls spawning. So yes, this nerf is handy and is gonna help the group manage Afflicted better, but still the main issue of Afflicted is going to stay the amount of souls that are currently spawning. That's the part that should be nerfed to make this affix more manageable. And these were the nerfs to the new affixes. What about the nerfs to the old affixes that we are already used to? One is to Spiteful. Spiteful is already sort of the easy affix, not too difficult, so there wasn't really much of a need to nerf Spiteful, but still, Spiteful Shade's melee damage is now reduced by 10%, and Spiteful Shade's health and damage no longer scales after Keystone level 20. So now they will be doing overall less damage, and also it will be easier to get rid of them more quickly because they will have less health past Keystone level 20. As I said, not really that much of a need to nerf Spiteful anyways, but I guess it's still welcome, in particular to all the greedy melee DPS taking a couple of hits from Spitefuls because they want to keep doing damage to the other mobs. Then we have an interesting change. I'm saying change because I'm not quite sure if it's a nerf or if it's a buff, because it's Raging. Raging now grants creatures immunity to crowd control effects for 20 seconds upon reaching 30% health. Previously, it was of course 50% more damage upon reaching 30% health. So instead of the mobs all gaining 50% more damage and the tank shitting its pants, starting to kite because it doesn't want to get whacked by some tank buster that's enraged, now instead they are immune to CC. Now, we have a precedent to this immune to CC mechanic, which was Inspiring, an old affix now removed by Blizzard. Now, under Inspiring, mobs were also considered immune from crowd control, from silences and from interrupts. So, if Blizzard is using the same logic for this new Raging, then mobs would also be unable to be silenced or unable to be interrupted. This could create, some dangerous situations. Imagine, yes, we are changing dungeons for Season 2, but imagine you are in Halls of Valor and you are fighting the Mystics, you bring them down to 30% HP, they get enraged, they are immune from crowd control, and they start casting Holy Radiance, the spell that basically heals to full the rest of the mobs you're in combat with. But because they are enraged, they can't be interrupted, so they get to cast Holy Radiance and basically ruin the entire pool. That would be a thing if this new Raging were to work like it's expected. So as I said, not too sure if this Raging is currently supposed to be a nerf to the affix or if it's supposed to be a buff, actually, based on how it will interact with interrupting and silencing the mobs. Then, for our last couple of nerfs, we have one which, similar to Spiteful, wasn't really that needed, but I guess it's welcome. It's the nerf to Sanguine. Now, Sanguine is even shorter, 40% nerf. Sanguine used to last 20 seconds, now it lasts for 12, so for just 12 seconds. As I said, it's not that needed. Most of the oopsies, most of the bad spawns of Sanguine are going to be instant. The Sanguine pool is going to spawn on top of a mob and heal him to full, so whether the Sanguine pool lasted for 20 seconds or for 12, the damage was done anyways, but I guess still it's welcome to have these pools be shorter, especially in cramped places, you know, in narrow corridors, for example. I guess that's a welcome change. For Sanguine, the last of our current affix nerfs goes to Bolstering, and this one, unlike Raging, it's a proper nerf. The change to Bolstering is that Bolster no longer increases the health of affected creatures. Previously it was of course health and damage, now it's just damage. This is a massive change because of course it's going to shave off, it's going to save millions and millions of extra HP in damage you had to do to the mobs that would bolster. Now basically Bolstering is effectively completely ignorable by all of the party except for the tank, who's gonna get whacked more most of the times. And even then he will get whacked for a much shorter amount of time because the bolstered mobs don't have extra HP. So it still takes the same amount of time to kill them, right? So even if they have more damage, if they were going to die in 15 seconds before, now they are still going to die in 15 seconds instead of, say, 25, because they were bolstered with much more HP. So this is also a very good change to the affix, making it much more manageable, especially in the dreaded combo of bolstering plus fortified. So of course focusing a lot on trash mobs, making bolstering much more deadly. Very important, as I said, very important set of changes for Season 2 of Mythic Plus. It might have restored the faith of many players who were kind of looking with some doom and gloom at Season 2 of Mythic Plus. All of these changes are definitely going to make people look at the next season of Mythic Plus much more positively. Besides that, I'm going to leave you to the rest of your day. Of course, I'm going to start my goodbyes by thanking all of the Patreon supporters for their contribution and the help to the growth of the channel. However, you can still support completely for free. You can do things like liking and commenting down below on this video, as well as subscribing to the channel itself. You can also support in other ways, like following me over on my Twitter or following me over on my stream on Twitch, down at these links. So, with this out of the way, thank you guys again for watching. See you guys soon, and in the meantime, I think Blizzard realized how overtuned Halls of Infusion or Bracken 9 Hollow currently are, so they went in panic mode and they were like, oh shit, it's better to nerf the affixes to the ground or players are gonna burn us at the stake.